The session for today is titled Let Your Innovation Happen. Great innovations happen when a diverse set of skills are integrated to effectively solve problems. Truly breakthrough innovations are never a single event, nor they are achieved by one person or even within a single organization. Rather, they happen when ideas combine to solve important problems. Innovation is vital in the workplace because it gives companies an edge in penetrating markets faster and provides a better connection to developing markets, which can lead to bigger opportunities. But with this come many challenges. If the innovative idea lacks collaboration and diversity, then the idea to become a success becomes challenging. Innovative opportunities, on the other hand, modify the existing understanding of innovation activities and industrial dynamics, and it helps identify the new areas of research. So, keep innovating. I would like to call Dr. V.N. Pawar sir, Principal, College of Food Technology, to kindly come forward for the felicitation of the guest. Honorable Dr. Kishore Rawande sir, Honorable Charulata Lunde ma'am, to come forward. Can we have AV of Mr. Akash Agarwal, please?
Mr. Akash Agarwal is the MD of Akash Furnitech. He is managing an enterprise scaling up to a next level with his strong skills in marketing and entrepreneurship. He also guides and motivates youngsters of India. Akash Furnitech Group is one of the largest manufacturer of all types of furniture since 1975. It is into manufacturing of modular furniture, office furniture, residential furniture, steel furniture, restaurant furniture, school and college furniture, Montessori furniture, laboratory furniture, computer furniture, all types of chairs, auditorium furniture, molded furniture, and many more. It is the key furniture solutions provider all over India. We welcome Mr. Akash Agarwal at the Persona Fest.
Let's have a huge round of applause. Now I would like to request Dr. V.N. Pawar sir and Dr. Kishore Rawande sir to kindly felicitate Mr. Akash Agarwal. Can we have the audio visuals of Mr. Arjun Rao, General Partner, Special Invest?
Mr. Arjun Rao is a general partner at Speciale Invest. He has more than 15 years of experience in the technology and internet startup ecosystem in India. As an entrepreneur for more than 8 years, he has led tech and product teams, strategy, and fundraising at all phases of startup life cycle. He has worked in product development, product management, digital marketing at growth stage companies. We welcome Mr. Arjun Rao at the Persona Fest.
I would like to request Dr. V.N. Pawar sir and Dr. Kishore Rawande sir to felicitate the sir.
Let's have a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir. Our next guest is Ms. Nehal Surana, Mr. Nehal Surana, Senior Business Consultant. Can we have the audio visual, please?
Mr. Nehal Surana is a seasoned entrepreneur with more than a decade of experience across multinationals like Dell and HP, MSMEs, and startups. An engineer by degree, he is the founder of Logic Invest, which is a niche research and corporate advisory firm researching global micro and macro environment to help in identifying high growth sectors and companies of the future for its clients. He is also a co-founder of Think Global, a think tank which contributes to the startup ecosystem at various stages like incubation, mentorship, strategic planning, and go-to-market support. He has also founded Bhopal Angels, a network of prominent investors of Bhopal looking to help and invest in new business ideas and startups. He is also associated with various incubators, including Atal Innovation Center like AIC Artec and MP Government Recognized Incubator VASPL Initiatives Private Limited. We are honored to have Mr. Nehal Surana with us at the Persona Fest.
Let's have a huge round of applause. Now I would like to request Dr. Kishore Ravande sir and VN Pawar sir to kindly felicitate Mr. Nehal Surana. Our next guest, Mr. Yatin Tambe, founder and director, Friction Welding Technologies. Can we have the audio visuals, please?
Mr. Yatin Tambe is the founder and director of Friction Welding Technologies. Friction Welding Technologies implements the best of the processes, Pokayoke model, and state-of-art technology to produce very high-quality, flawless, and cost-efficient products that meet international standards. Under his guidance, the company has completed millions of jobs, manufactured 10 machines sold domestically as well as exported, and 4 machines have been converted from scrap. The company, which has innovation, discipline, integrity, system-oriented approach, and value addition in its DNA, has crossed several critical milestones from 2002 till date. We are honored to have Mr. Yatin Tambe with us at the Persona Fest.
Let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Yatin Tambe. Dr. VN Pawar and Dr. Kishore Ravande sir will be felicitating Mr. Yatin Tambe. Our next guest, Mr. Kirti Kadam. Mr. Kirti Kadam is the founder and CEO of Mintech Private Limited. Can we have the audio visuals, please?
Mr. Kirti Kadam is the founder and CEO of Mintech Private Limited. He looks into marketing strategy, customer satisfaction, and most importantly, leading the team. He teaches entrepreneurship to civil engineering students. He conducts sessions, workshops, rigorous interviews with students, and also coordinates knowledge sharing sessions from agriculture industry experts and mentors students from an industry perspective. We welcome Mr. Kirti Kadam at the Persona Fest.
Welcome you, sir. Dr. VN Pawar and Dr. Kishore Ravande will be felicitating Mr. Kirti Kadam. Thank you all. Thank you, Pawar sir. Thank you, Ravande sir. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Nachiket Thakur sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, students and faculty fellows. It is indeed a pleasure to have such distinguished panel members amongst us on discussing what innovation means to all of us. So I think it will be a good idea to have your version of one innovative thing which has led to your success as an individual or as an institution or as an organization. If you can just share with us, it will be a pleasure.
Hello. In innovation, yes, I would like to share my journey about innovation. We are into friction welding, machine manufacturing, and contract manufacturing. Friction welding is a technology which is absolutely very unknown to Indian market. I am in this technology for last 17 years. I will share one incidence of innovation. Like we were doing job for BrahMos missile, wherein we have to join exotic metals like aluminum, aluminum alloy, and stainless steel. And we were doing it for more than 10 years. And BrahMos being a Russian design, there was some challenge about big size adapters where they have insisted on explosive welding rather than friction welding. The design was something different. And as a supplier of friction welding, we have to have an MSQA audit every time. Once MSQA director happened to come to us, and he shared his pain areas because in the explosive welding they were facing almost 85% rejection. And whereas in friction welding, in 10 years, there was zero rejection. So it was a big pain area for BrahMos missile manufacturing. And there we discussed with them, we gave them some suggestion about the design change. And that design change was accepted by NPM Russia. And after that approval, they wanted us to prove the job. But then unfortunately, the machines what we were having, we were not able to prove it. And the challenge came that how to prove it. Then finally, BrahMos decided to go for the machine. And they will fund Godrej Aerospace for that. And Godrej Aerospace will make all the adapters. So in that journey, Godrej Aerospace asked for quotation from all over the world. And there was quotation from MTI USA, Thomson UK, KUKA Germany, and there was one quotation from our side. All other giants quoted 2 machines for the entire range, and the total cost would be about not less than 12 crores to 14.5 crores. And whereas there was only one offer from our side, which was 50-ton machine, and we were confident of giving the entire range on one machine, costing only 2.53 CR.
Wow, that's so nice. I think it deserves a clap.
And within 4.5 months, we could really design, manufacture, and prove all the jobs on that machine.
Very nice. So I think looking at whatever we have been hearing for last 1.5 to 2 hours, building India is on the cards, and we are very proud to have people like you with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arjun, when innovations come in and you need to evaluate innovations for getting funded, what is your view? How do you select what parameter is you think of from the innovation standpoint to fund or to support any venture?
Yeah, I think I was just having a conversation with somebody before we started the panel, and the definition of innovation is, of course, very broad, right? But what we're looking for is entrepreneurs, founders who are taking up problem statements and building technology-related solutions that are hard to build, right? And hard to, of course, it has to solve a problem. Of course, it has to have a large market, but one has to identify that this should not, there has to be something inherent in it which has an, disruption innovation quotient, right? Which comes from the founder's background. It could be combination of their educational background, their what sort of company they worked at, what sort of problems and technology solutions that they've spent time on, and then they've found some unique opportunity to build out a solution that not everybody else can build, right? Just like our co-panelist here just mentioned that, everybody else was building something at a particular innovation level, but they were building it far better and far cheaper and far faster, right? So we're looking for genuinely something that is innovation, we typically use a term called 10x innovation, right? If the world is functioning at something at X, one has to see if this new innovation can make things 10x, right? It is reducing cost 10x or increasing efficiency 10x, right? Something has to happen 10x better. And that for us is a simple definition of innovation.
Nice to know. When we look at innovation, Mr. Kirti, with respect to what you have been doing for now many years and building your own support system. So what do you think students should do with respect to your learning to support innovation?
Well, there's not much to talk about, in my story, but if students have to look at innovation today, they should really be looking at some really awesome people out there. Okay, so for me, innovation is something that kind of reusing the rockets, right, by Elon Musk, right? How do you do that, right? He was ridiculed with the idea of bringing back the rockets and using them again, right? Is that innovation? Yes, that is innovation. What he's doing at Tesla, is that innovation? Maybe not, right?
Okay.
And what other things that students must be looking at is something that's disrupting, like Arjun just said, something like Bitcoin, right? Look at cryptocurrency, how things are changing with a totally different perspective. And people don't even want to take credibility, what do you call, the credits for that, right? The guy who did Bitcoin doesn't want to also take the credit, right? So one innovation that really stands out for me in India, I was just, kind of doing a little bit of research, and what came up was something called P-Buddy.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of P-Buddy?
P-Buddy, yeah.
Right? It is an innovation for sanitization, right? Women can easily go to urine and all of that. So that is the simplest kind of an innovation, and bringing back rockets is, on the other side of the spectrum. So if students have to look at innovation, they have to really, because we at our company at Mindtech Private Limited also want to do things like that, right? We want to be the high flyers. So don't ever plan to do smaller things, right? Be out there, and my only suggestion, advice to students about innovation is do hard things, like you said. Really, really do hard things, go deep, not horizontal. Right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nehal, when we talk about activities which you have with this background, where there are venture capitalists, there's a very hard innovation in place to support. So the journey which you have been through, what sets things apart from what people might have not done and you have done, which is different in the industry which you are in?
So basically, the basis of any innovation is passion. If you do not have passion, you won't be able to innovate. And as far as innovation is concerned, innovation only means that you tried something which was non-contemporary, right? Innovation could start from as low as inventing a new kind of food. If you remember the Maggi that we eat, people improvise it and added egg to it, vegetables to it. So the impact of innovation could differ. One of the biggest innovations that our government did was the direct benefit transfer. The kind of money it had saved, and the second thing, the kind of money which was getting siphoned has been saved. That is amazing. So there are multiple examples of innovation that we see in our day-to-day life. We innovate. We keep on innovating without even realizing that we have innovated something, because we do things in a different manner. That's the most important thing. So I'll tell you example where one of the startups that I was working with was into fine wood products. And this guy wanted to go ahead and distribute franchisees and open stores across India. However, the most important thing, he did not have money for that. So I said that first you need to build your brand. Now, to build your brand, either you need to spend money on advertising, or you just keep on selling. So we thought that it would be much more innovative for us to go and start selling more on e-commerce. So we decreased the margins and ensured more and more sales happen on the e-commerce platform. So that way, the number of customers who actually got the product or bought it increased approximately by tenfold by what it was happening earlier. Then there were reviews coming in from customers. Automatically, social credibility and a complete profile started building in. And that's how the brand began. So I think that is one of the most innovative way of building a brand without spending a single penny in advertising.
Nice. Thank you so much for your insights. Mr. Akash, there have been a lot of activities going on in the furniture segment, which you are in. So one such thing may be using of other materials than wood. So maybe biomaterials like bamboo or like hemp and kenaf and stuff like that. So when you do your kind of product line, which deals in making furniture for various items, and I went through a profile where you have innovated in multiple layers to establish yourself as a brand, as he was mentioning. So what is the activities which you are doing now to inculcate the innovative culture or innovation culture within your organization to keep on innovating to build newer products? So can you harp on that?
Look, any innovation or any change has to begin from the top, as we say. So first, if you want to build a innovative culture or a change culture into an organization, first of all, your own mindset has to be flexible. And you yourself has to you yourself have to see what are the innovation which is happening across the world, maybe in your field or across the field. Because nowadays, competition is not just coming from your field. Yep. We know so many examples. Now, car companies are feeling threat from Ola and Uber, and so many examples we have. Recently, I read that Apple is selling more watches than entire Swiss industry together, and they are facing extinction. So innovation, you can learn from other industry also, and they are also your competitor and threat. So for getting good ideas and good all this thing, you have to visit all over world. Like in furniture, we have so many furniture fairs in Germany, China. So you have to continuously visit and see what's happening. You just don't have to copy them, but you get a lot of ideas, and then you can combine those ideas, and you can have your own idea which can evolve out of all those ideas, and that can be an innovative thing which comes out of your company. It may be a little bit like he said about Maggie. Like people on street are now selling Maggie with egg and Maggie with cheese and Maggie with so many things. So that doesn't come out of Nestle. It has come out of small people selling Maggie on the street. So in the same way, you learn many things and then you improvise. And then you can sell that as a value addition to that particular innovation. And this small value addition eventually leads to a new innovation, which can be like a breakthrough innovation or 10x innovation, like he said. So you have to continuously expose yourself to the world, what is happening. Yeah.
I just want to ask you slightly more pertinent question in terms of in your organization, in your team. So as innovation doesn't mean that only one person is responsible. So as a team, how is the innovation culture inculcated within the organization? What are the ways and means of doing that?
Again, like we have, like all other organizations have quality circles and innovative suggestion scheme. We have meetings. Every worker suggests us some innovation, and if that innovation or improvement or a suggestion, if that is implementable or if it is implemented, he is rewarded, he gets the best employee of the month, and so many things. That kind of thing, they feel that now their ideas are given importance and they start thinking. Earlier they used to think, yaar, mera kaam hai machine chalana, that's all. Now they feel that they are the owner of that particular process or that particular machine or that particular product, and they keep on
As I said, innovation has to happen via passion. So he has made his employees passionate.
Yeah.
And that's how innovation is happening.
passion
True.
can only come when somebody feels I am the owner of that particular
True,
thing.
true. Yeah. Great. Mr. Yatin, because in a industry like welding, it is not glamorous enough. So how do you motivate your people? Same question as is, motivate your people to keep on doing new things and trying to up the benchmark to stay in the market. And as everybody says, keep saying that the competition doesn't come only from the welding industry. It can be from adhesive industry, it can be from metal industry, whatever. So how do you keep that, again, taking his cue from word, from passion, within your team to keep this jolt of innovation tickling?
See, like I previously told you about friction welding, even though it is called as welding, it's normally what people visualize when welding is like, you can see some fabricator doing some torch, but it's a total different technology altogether, and this technology has given us a lot because this is a new technology which Indian people may not know about it, so we got a lot of respect. So yes, when student comes with the name of friction welding, initially they have a lot of questions in mind, but then when they come to our company and they see the machine, they see the technology, and then it is entirely different because it is a machine tool business actually, and there is a lot of things to be innovated in that. So every machine is unique. We do not have a regular production machine like that. So every machine we have to find the application for that, design the machine, and then build the machine, and then prove the application. And for application proving, we are the only people in India who do this type of job. There is only one manufacturer in India, otherwise it's purely a niche market so a lot of innovation needs to be done there.
So how do you keep that thing tickling?
Yeah.
जोश
So-
बनाए कैसे रखते हैं?
Yes. So for that, what we do is we do a lot of stories. Whenever we get inquiry, there is the story building for every inquiry. At the same time, we have a lot of training modules, which are structured modules in training, and even the quality. We have a lot of things. We have our vendors, which we have to develop your vendors also for that because we are not the only people. We only design and assemble the machine, but the machining and fabrication is done outside. So we have to create story out of it, and then the people will get connected to it. And like he rightly said, they should be passionate. So every time we have to have something new given to the customer, and that is how we create stories. So thank you.
Mr. Arjun, when people come to you for with proposals for funding, venture, there are many cases where the innovator feels that I am the boss. So nobody has thought this before, and I'm the only one who is thinking like that. So how do you tackle that kind of passionate innovator who always feels that whatever is done is the best in the world? How do you, I would not say break down, but how do you categorize his innovation to make him feel better or make him innovate more?
Sure, right. I think what is important and what is easy in today's world is to quickly validate how unique your idea and your solution is, right? And that is something that we expect out of founders and entrepreneurs to come prepared, right? You can come up with an idea. Have you spent 10 days on the idea? Have you spent 100 days on the idea? Have you spent 1,000 days on the idea? Shows up in 1 hour or in 3 hours or in 6 hours, right? You can give me a beautiful story and a beautiful presentation and a pitch for half an hour and I'll feel wow, right? But the questions that follow, right? And for that, I also hopefully should be prepared, and I need to understand certain things. We need to be prepared, is what gets us excited, right? So it is possible that somebody has stumbled upon or thought through a particular innovation or a new idea, right? We want to peel the layers of the onion, as they say, right? Talk about the idea, talk about how that can be built, talk about how long that will take to build, what are the challenges in building that out, who do they think is building this in India? Who do they think is building this in China, in Israel, in America, right? And therefore, where do they stand among all of these things, right? it is not necessarily to say yours is not a unique enough solution, right? But it is necessary to think about what unique advantages you have to execute that idea. Because ideas in general by themselves are aplenty. What matters, like everybody here has said, there has to be enough fire in the belly, enough passion, right, for you to do execution. And for execution, the thought process has to be really deep, right? You have to think through step one, what happens, what do you do in the first 3 months, right? What POC or an MVP do you build out, right? And then how do you validate the need for this from the customers? And then how do you scale this by taking it out to multiple customers? And then you also have to think about, okay, how do you price this, right? So these are the layers. So a fresh idea can seem amazing in a 1-hour conversation, but when you have 10-hour conversations, right, on the same idea, you realize whether it is genuinely disruptive, has it been thought through to a certain amount of depth or not, or it needs a lot more work, right? So important, one of the things that we look at is there an idea thought through for day 1, day 11, day 111, right? Have you kept thinking about the same idea for that period of time, right? So if an entrepreneur is coming and asking me or asking any fund for some capital, he better have thought about this idea for a long period of time, rather than one fine day having come up and said, wow, this is amazing, I want to do this. And I want to do a startup or something because it's cool, right? So there is a lot of hard work before starting a company, and that's what we are trying to identify and understand if that research and understanding has been done.
Thank you so much. Nehal, I just want to pick your brains with a decade plus years of experience in multinationals like Dell and
HP.
others, HP. How does that insight help you in deciding the strategy which you are helping newer firms to grow? What is it? What is from a bigger conglomerate
Basically,
to this?
the experience that you gain from working in multinationals at various levels, you know how actually the business works at the ground level. And I think most of the successful people know what not to do. I think all of us know what not to do. That is the most important part of life, that if you have learned that, you will most probably succeed, because you know what not to do. That is the most important factor. As far as WorkX or working in a multinational or elsewhere is concerned, it actually makes you go through the complete process that these guys have devised. And multi-million dollars have been spent on refining these processes. So why not learn from them? Right? So if someone else has invested so much and made a process for you, learn from it and try to replicate it the same way in your own venture.
So that has definitely helped in many ventures which you have been.
It definitely does, because you know that this is going to work and this is not going to work as soon as you see it on paper.
Yeah.
And as he mentioned, validation is also a very important phase of any MSME or any startup. Not many of the founders, but almost all the founders that come, they think that their idea is out of the world. So ultimately what you need to do is, because many startups come to me also, then we need to put it on paper that how this is going to make money for the investor, because ultimately he's an investor, he has invested for money, and how it is going to be sustainable. Businesses which are not sustainable cannot be taken ahead. So that's the most important thing.
Mr. Akash, the furniture line which you are very strongly involved in, how does power of failure? So I just want to touch upon this this topic of, has failure taught you anything in your industry, which you are doing things differently because of some experience which you might have had on any level, not necessarily product innovation or whatever, but any failure which has helped you to succeed?
I think in today's world, failure is the only thing which it teaches you something.
Yeah.
Success doesn't teach you anything.
Correct.
A person who has not failed he has never learned anything.
Correct.
So yes, any startup or any small business, they have to go through so many failures, and they have to learn through those failures, and then they can improve themselves, and then they become successful. So we also have gone through all this thing. Like earlier, we were into manufacturing of steel furnitures. Like Godrej used to manufacture steel, Almira, old. But then we were failure in that because slowly that modular furniture, all the made to order furniture like IKEA and all, they were taking over the market. And then we realized कि इसका future नहीं है. अभी थोड़ा बहुत market है, but future में इसका नहीं है. So that was our failure कि we had all our egg in one basket that time. So then slowly we, although we were earning money out of that, so we didn't close it entirely, but we started manufacturing IKEA kind of a furniture, like modular furniture, which can be assembled and disassembled, which can be transported very easily, which can be manufactured very fast. On same machine, you can manufacture different variety of furnitures and all. So that particular failure taught us that our furniture should be innovative, it should be future oriented. Like IKEA is the #1 company in the furniture. So again, as we also learn from IKEA and we always keep track of IKEA, what they are doing and try to implement their furniture line or their way of doing things into our business. So that even though we don't have that kind of research facility and all, they spend billions of dollars on that, but we can learn from them, like he said. They have gone through all those research and everything. So that was a major failure which we overcome, and now we are into IKEA kind of a furniture.
Failure is also one of the reasons you innovate. Unless and until you don't fail, you won't find a smarter way to do the same thing.
Like he said, you have to have a deep thinking about the idea. ये deep thinking fail होने के बाद आती है. Success होने में deep thinking नहीं आती है. जब आप fail हो जाते हो, तब रात भर आपकी नींद गायब हो जाती है. Then you think कि कहाँ मैं fail हुआ, how I can improve, what I can do. So failure is the greatest teacher.
So just sharing with you one story. In Mahindra, there are annual awards of innovation. In that category, there is one category called failed innovation. So there is a practice in Mahindra to honor or to celebrate innovations which has failed. So I think that's what everybody of us are saying, that innovation also teaches a lot of things.
Unfortunately, in India, we don't celebrate or we don't appreciate failures. That culture, I think, we have to bring in our organization or our family, because that can only lead to innovation. Because unless you fail, you cannot come with a better product. So that thing, I think students should also, like we generally teach कि भाई exam में fail हो गया या कुछ भी fail हो गया. Abhi recently there was a movie कि fail होना it's okay. So that we have to teach to our young Indians कि fail होना is okay. It's a part of a success.
So if you have the failure, the fear to fail, you won't be able to innovate. Because what is innovation? Innovation is hit and trial. आपने innovate किया, चल गया, तो it is innovation. ठीक है? If you implement something and it becomes a success, it is innovation. If it does not, it's a blunder. So basically, innovation is hit and trial only. Even the person who invented Google or companies like those did not knew that they will come up like this. So never be afraid to fail. I think all of us have seen multiple failures, and that is what makes us a better person. Yeah.
Kirti, when you talk to, I will be very specific because you're saying that civil engineering is what you have been.
No, it's been picked up from my profile somewhere.
Okay.
But I speak at different colleges to students, mostly MBA students,
Correct.
civil engineering, BBA students, a lot of different variety of students, right?
Yeah.
So that's been picked
Yeah,
up from
so-
somewhere, but no problem.
So from the student standpoint,
Uh-huh.
when you talk to students,
Right.
what is the one anxiety which the students bring to you with respect to creating a venture? So typically what happens is people think that if you have an innovative product or service, then only you can go into a entrepreneurial mode.
Correct.
But that's not true.
Correct.
So how do you shackle their minds or clean up their minds
Correct.
in your own way to get into entrepreneurial mode is what we would like to listen from you.
So a lot of students, a lot of people who are not even in college or have passed out of college have one thing in mind. लोग क्या कहेंगे? मम्मी पापा क्या कहेंगे? Sir, मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ. I really want to do this something, an idea that I have in my mind, but nobody's supporting me, right? When I talk to my friends about this, they say, क्या बेकार का idea है, right? And lot of people around, like he said, Indian ecosystem, innovation ecosystem has not been very supportive of innovators, right? They've always, and like Jeff Bezos says, right? Innovation is always misunderstood. If it's not misunderstood, then it's not innovation, right? So a lot of times these students come up to me and they say, sir, I want to do this, but so there are only two things that keeps them back. One is the money factor. They have taken a lot of loans, education loans for their degrees and all of that, which they owe back to the banks and stuff, and their parents are really betting on them. And the second thing is, log kya kahenge, right? मैं ऐसे करूँगा तो क्या कहेंगे, वैसे करूँगा तो क्या कहेंगे. So for me, in my story, now this is what I would really like to share about my story. I did my undergrad in agriculture, BSc in agriculture. Before that, I failed in 12th standard. I was the topper in my school, and my parents were thinking that I will top the college, pre-university college, 12th standard, which I failed. It was very embarrassing. Then I went on to do agriculture, and there I topped the college, but my dean never thought I was somebody who would do something in life. He said, in front of a lot of dignitaries, he told, that this is the guy, this is the worst student of my life that I've seen ever, right? So, because I had a very unique perspective right from my student times. So, students actually have the fear. I call this tiger in the jungle. Why? Because the tiger is always there in the jungle, and we are fearing that the tiger will eat us right now. What is going to happen later? It might happen or it might never happen. You might not even see the tiger ever in your life. But the tiger is sitting in your mind, So that is what, is keeping a lot of young people not experiment. In our company, we have a culture of doing this. We've actually copied this from Google and other places. They do this 80-20%, right? 80% you devote your time for work, and 20% do whatever you want, right? It doesn't have to really be in the industry, from the industry. Do anything that excites you. Bring it to the table, let's discuss and see what can we do, right? How can we bring entrepreneurship, right, from within the company itself. So students have, I meet a lot of students, and the problem that they face is I have to have a degree. I am at an institution. This I should not be saying, but I would say, just F everything, man. Focus on something that, see, the thing is, if you don't take risk now, you will never ever know what was on the other side of the mountain, right? One of the things that all the students in the world should do is start early. Start experimenting in your life early. Don't give an F about anybody. Keep your ears closed and work on one thing that you've been really, really wanting to work, and innovate. Go deep, go deep, go deep. Just keep going deep. Don't try to do too many things at the same time. So with that, innovation never happens. When people do too many things, I've done this. I've failed at a lot of ventures because I've done multiple things, and I thought I was right, which was not true, right? So that's what students.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just want to now throw the mic out in the audience. If anybody has any thing to ask questions to the panelist, it can be also faculty and seniors as well. Dubeji, would you like to ask someone something?
मजबूरी है ये. So I think because you have asked by the name, so you have to have a question. There is no choice, right? When you put a spotlight on the person. I think we heard all the great gentlemen and the entrepreneurs. I think innovation is a cliche word now these days. Everybody is talking about innovation. So how do you differentiate, or what is the message from your side, maybe Arjun or Nehul? How do you get this mindset that you don't need money to build the big businesses? First, you need to create the value part of it, so that people start coming to you and they realize the value part of it first before you go out there. Because सबसे ज़्यादा दिमाग खराब इन्हें पीले अखबारों ने किया हुआ है. जितने इकोनॉमिक्स टाइम्स, बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड, फाइनेंशियल एक्सप्रेस हैं, जो रोज बताते हैं कि ये कंपनी यूनिकॉर्न है, ये सूनिकॉर्न है, उनकी वजह से लोगों को लगता है कि ये जल्दी से जल्दी पैसा उठाओ, बड़ी कंपनी बनेगी. सो द आइडिया ऑफ वैल्यू वर्सेस वैल्यूएशन, एनी कमेंट्स ऑन दैट?
Maybe a quick one on that. No, I think one is what technology and what domain one is functioning in, right? I totally agree that one should probably not get inspired by what's on the front page or the third page or the fifth page of Economic Times, right? From a story perspective, there are enough good stories also in Economic Times for you to learn and build on top
just
of.
to add to that or show the real perspective, when people see those stories of $1 billion and multi-billion dollar valuation, they don't know, or they basically don't go back in the past. So Flipkart has a valuation of $1 billion, but just go to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs website and put in when actually Flipkart was found. It was found long back in 2005, 2006, right? So they had a lot of failures from 2006 till 2012. What you are seeing is only the success. You have not seen the failures. So just putting a perspective or how actually I deal with it, what Mr. Dubey said. So two things. One, people come to me, many founders come to me, say, I have an idea, it's amazing, this, that, I have this. Put it in a piece of paper. Unless and until your concept or your idea cannot be put on a piece of paper and make sense, it cannot be considered as a fruitful idea. Second, try to do a proof of concept with minimal resources. So many of these entrepreneurs or founders come and say, I have this idea and I want this much fund to do this. Why would someone be putting or giving you fund to do something that is just your assumption or just your thought? If the same thing does not require that kind of money, go ahead and try to do the POC with minimal resources. If you can do that, I think these two things is how I manage expectation of these MSMEs and startups.
So to add to that, Nehul, I think it's like Reid Hoffman says, I have all these quotations stored in my brain. He says, if your first version of your product is not embarrassing enough, then you're late to the game, right? So you don't really have to look at the big guys, the big stories that's happening on yourstory.com and on different media like Economic Times and all. You just have to do the little bit, the MVP, right? Like you said, with minimal resources, if you can build a really embarrassing prototype that functions and that solves a small problem of a bigger problem, small size of that problem, if it can solve, then and if people start liking it, that's about it. And if you do that for 10 years, then you're the next billion-dollar company.
Great.
One of the pitfalls which recently has played out is, and that's a cautionary note for young entrepreneurs and anybody thinking of ideas, is what has happened to WeWork, right? If the fundamentals of the business are not strong, right, you can fool some of the people some of the time, some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time, right? So make sure that the fundamentals of the business are very strong. Otherwise, somewhere down the line, you'll get caught, right? And the market and the industry at large will value you correctly for what you're actually worth. And at that point in time, not only will your paper valuation change and drop drastically. But the biggest hit that an entrepreneur or a founder takes is credibility hit, right? And some of these things, and credibility hit is one thing that you cannot come back from, right? You can, build a reputation over years and years, but if that goes down once, right, the second time around, you may not get a second chance, right? So that's where I think one has to be cautious about, are you playing purely the valuation game, or is that backed with fundamental understanding of great business fundamentals, sustainable business, like our friend mentioned earlier, right, for the long haul, right? So that is something that I would only mention.
And if just money was the main factor which could actually build big businesses, then apart from the current Ambanis and Tatas and Mahindras, no one would have made any significant business or any significant organizations. So most important thing is the timing. I think many times it is, if you're there at the right time, at the right place, with the right set of mind, it makes all the difference.
We have a question from the audience. I think we will take that question. Yeah. Can you have the audience lights, please?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is viral growth more important to attract investors and get money really quick and then try exploring new verticals? Or organic growth, which takes a lot of time, but you have to go along with the same business and create trust. So is viral growth more important for new startups or organic growth?
So I have a straight answer for you, and some of them may disagree. I think if you are working on something, some idea, stick to organic. Because you see how organic vegetables, organic rice, organic everything is coming back? It's simple. Make your business sustainable, make your business profitable. It'll give you peace of mind. It'll do a lot of good things for a lot of people that are working for you. And when you want to play the valuation game, investors will follow you when you're organic and you have a lot of credibility in the market. Whereas viral is just, it's seasonal. The fidget spinner came and it just went away. You never know when it came and when it went away, right? Fidget spinners, you know this, right? Yeah, so China is surviving because they keep bringing this seasonal stuff all the time. That is their innovation. After fidget spinner, they'll bring up something new. They know it's only 2 months. So don't try to play the 2 months game. It is 10 years at least.
But Instagram made 1 million users in 2 months, and then they projected million users after two months. So that was viral growth, and it's in profitable company right now, which Facebook bought.
But what about the first million users?
Yeah, the first million users came in 2 months.
But before that, I think you should go back to the story of what happened to bring that 1 million.
So again, I would say just go back to the SEC filings and see when actually Instagram was founded.
Yes.
And the most important point, this mindset that you have, what you are projecting, viral growth, investors, this has to change. So basically what you are saying is, you found a company or you found a business so that investors could come in. That should not be your mindset. Your mindset should be, I make a solution so that a problem can be solved. So if you're just running behind investors or chasing money, you will never be able to innovate, you will be never able to disrupt, believe me.
Virus is never good, man. Right? Apt.
Arjun, any take?
Nothing viral.
No, I think others have covered it pretty well. If virality is inherent because of your product, customers will follow you. If enough customers are continuously following you, not just for 2 months, 2 months convert to 6 months, convert to 2 years, and so on and so forth, trust me, investors will run after you.
You want investors to be chasing you.
So if
you don't want to chase the investors.
So if customers come in, you won't need investors because your business will fund itself.
Yes.
If sales are happening, if customers are buying it, you will be able to make money to push back into the business and grow.
And
you don't need investors
there.
there.
And you'll keep the equity, right? 100% equity. You're not employee anymore to any investor.
Yeah, you won't be.
Everybody's putting me out of a job here.
You will be able to innovate the way you want.
No, this is not against VC's forum.
So, friends, it was a really nice and informative session. Thank you all panelists to be here, spending your valuable time. and setting the tone for an innovative future. Thank you all. Thank you for being there, and enjoy the rest of the evening.